Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Prostrations to Ramana, who shines as the self in all beings. By the grace of Bhagavan, we are commencing today's satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh. This will be followed by the chanting of Muktaka trayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय नमो रमना to everyone.
एकम् अक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भाव कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरभिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Uma and Ashwini Balaji.
नमो रमण. इदमहं पदाभिक्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनके प्यलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिया प्राणदीतम नाहमेकसत्तज्जडं ह्यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्क्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईशजीवयोर्वेषधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषः नत स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनं स्वात्मरूपत आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरं किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा अपूर्णचित्सुखं बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखं विन्दति जीवस्तु दैविक अहमपेतकं निजविभानकं महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम्. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We will now have 4 songs from Ramananjali Sangeetam. The first one will be presented by Srimati V. Radha. The second song will be presented by Pratibha. The third song will be presented by Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Krishnan. The fourth song will be presented by Revathi Shankar.
Namo Ramana to all. Today I have selected a song written by Sri Meenakshi Sundaram. The Kannada translation is by Sri R.N. Gopal and the music is by Sri Vijay Bhaskar. ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣಾಗಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ಸುಂದರನಾಯಿನಿಯಳಾದ ಸುಂದರಿಯಾತನಯ ಸುಂದರನೇ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಸ್ತುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ಸುಂದರನಾಯಿನಿಯಳಾದ ಸುಂದರಿಯಾತನಯ ಸುಂದರನೇ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಸ್ತುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ನಾನೆಂಬುದರರ್ಥವು ಏನೆಂಬ ಸತ್ಯವ ನಾನೆಂಬುದರರ್ಥವು ಏನೆಂಬ ಸತ್ಯವ ತಾನರಿತ ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯೇ ರಮಣ ಸಾಟಿಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲದವ ಸಾಟಿಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲದವ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ಮರಣಾದಿ ಬಂಧಗಳ ನಾಶಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಕರುಣಿಸುನಿ ಚರಣಾಂಬುದ ವೇಗತಿ ಅರುಣಾಚಲಾಧಿಪತಿ ಮರಣಾದಿ ಬಂಧಗಳ ನಾಶಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಕರುಣಿಸುನಿ ಚರಣಾಂಬುಜ ವೇಗತಿ ಅರುಣಾಚಲಾಧಿಪತಿ ಮೌನಿ ಮಹಾಮುನಿನಾಥ ಮುಕ್ತಿಪದ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಮೌನಿ ಮಹಾಮುನಿನಾಥ ಮುಕ್ತಿಪದ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಮೀನಾಕ್ಷಿ ಸುಂದರ ಗೀತಾ ರಮಣ ಹೇ ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ಮೀನಾಕ್ಷಿ ಸುಂದರ ಗೀತಾ ರಮಣ ನಿಜ ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ನಿಜ ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣಾಗಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ. ನಮೋ ರಮಣ.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This is a composition of Sri Rengaswamy in Kannada, translated by Dr. Lakshmi Narayan Bhatta. Jaya Giri Yanniri, Jaya Guru Yanniri, Jnanadata Ramanage Jaya Yanniri, Jaya Giri Yanniri, Jaya Guru Yanniri, Jnanadata Ramanage Jaya Yanniri, Janana Marana Bhaya ರೋಗಗಳೆಲ್ಲವ ಹರಿಸುವ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಹರಿಸುವ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗಿರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗುರು ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ವಿಮಲ ಜ್ಞಾನವೇ ಮೈಯಾದವನಿಗೆ ಹೃದಯವದೋಚಿರ ಸುಧಾ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಗೆ, ವಿಮಲ ಜ್ಞಾನವೇ ಮೈಯಾದವನಿಗೆ ಹೃದಯವದೋಚಿರ ಸುಧಾ ಸ್ವರೂಪಿಗೆ, ಹಿಂದೆ ಕಂಡಿರದ ಸುಂದರ ಪ್ರಭುವಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ರೂಪದ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯ ಪ್ರೀತಿಗೆ, ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ರೂಪದ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯ ಪ್ರೀತಿಗೆ ಜಯ ಗಿರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗುರು ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಜಯ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಜಯ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನರೂಪಿ ಪ್ರಭುವಿಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಜಯ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನರೂಪಿ ಪ್ರಭುವಿಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಉಸಿರಿಗೆ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಆಚೆಯ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗಿರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗುರು ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಪಾದಕ್ಕೆ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲವ ಮೀರಿದ ಆನಂತ ಸತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಪಾದಕ್ಕೆ ದೇಹಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲವ ಮೀರಿದ ಆನಂತ ಸತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಭುವಿಗೂ ದೇವಕ್ಕೂ ಎರಡನು ಮೀರಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುದೇವಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುದೇವಗೆ ಜಯ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯಗಿರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗುರು ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯಗಿರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜಯ ಗುರು ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ರಮಣಗೆ ಜಯ ಎನ್ನಿರಿ. ನಮೋ ರಮ.
ಸಮಯ ಮೀದು ನಿಮಲ வாழ்வுತ ಅಮಲ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ದೇವನೇ. ಸಮಯ ಮೀದು ನಿಮಲ வாழ்வுತ ಅಮಲ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ದೇವನೇ. திமிர மாயையை துமிய வெட்டுவாய் அமித வெங்கடரமண தேயனே. திமிர மாயையை துமிய வெட்டுவாய் அமித வெங்கடரமண தேயனே. யமனை வென்று தடமல நல்குவாய் இமய வேலுரை ரமண ஈசனே. யமனை வென்று தடமல நல்குவாய் இமய வேலுரை ரமண ஈசனே. கமலமாய் நின்ற கமல நீடல்வாய் அமர நல்குவாய் ரமண சாந்தனே. கமலமாய் நின்ற கமல நீடல்வாய் அமர நல்குவாய் ரமண சாந்தனே. குமுதவாயி நாதமுதமென் ஒளி சமூக நின்று தரமணராயனே. குமுதவாயி அமுதமென் ஒளி சமூக நின்று தரமணராயனே. இமிழுமென் ஒளி குமிழ மாலை கொள் தமிழ வெங்கடரமண சாமியே. இமிழு மென்மொழி குமிழ மாலை கொள் தமிழ வெங்கடரமண சாமியே. விமல வெள்ளிடை அமளி மீதிலே ரவிய மாவனை ரமண ராமனே. விமல வெள்ளிடை அமளி மீதிலே ரவிய மாவனை ரமண ராமனே. கமகமென்னவே கமல என் மலர் அமளியேறுவாய் ரமணநாதனே. கமகமென்னவே கமல என் மலர் அமளியேறுவாய் ரமணநாதனே. ஆன்மனாமுனை யான் மணந்தரே ஆன்மலாபமென் ஆன்மநாதனே. ஆன்மனாமுனை யான் மணந்தரே ஆன்மலாபமென் ஆன்மநாதனே. சமய மீது நிமல வாழ்வுத அமல வெங்கடரமண தேவனே. சமய மீது வாழ்வுத அமல வெங்கடரமಣ தேவனே.
ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀ ರಮಣಾಯ.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Bhagavan has said, Kaya Vangmana Karyamuttamam Pujanam Japaschintanam Kramat. How is this puja done? With the help of our body, we do the puja. And this puja, we have the Shodashopachara, which will happen to Bhagavan. 16 types of pujas. And one of them is the Uyyala Seva. This Seva is beautifully done to Bhagavan. This is written by Y.V. Venkateshwar Rao, and the music for this is by Dr. Rajkumar Bharti and L. Krishnan. Not L. Krishnan, only Rajkumar Bharti. I'm sorry. వైభవముగా ఊయలలోన ఊయలలోన రమణుడుగే రమణుడుగే మెల్ల గాలి మెల్లగా వీవగా చల్లగాలి మెల్లగా వీవగా ఆ గాలికి సుమములు విరియగా గాలికి సుమములు విరియగా వైభవముగా ఊయలలోన ఊయలలోన రమణుడుగే రమణుడుగే మెల్ల మెల్లన ఉయ్యాల జంపాల ఉయ్యాల జంపాల గిరిశిఖరమే ఆధారముగా వేదములు బంగారు గొలుసులై గిరిశిఖరమే ఆధారముగా వేదములు బంగారు గొలుసులై నేల తల్లి ఓడి పీఠముగా నేల తల్లి ఓడి పీఠముగా సురలు నరులు సేరి ఊపగా సురలు నరులు సేరి ఊపగా వైభవముగా ఊయలలోన ఊయలలోన రమణుడుగే రమణుడుగే ఉయ్యాల జంపాల ఉయ్యాల జంపాల స్వర్ణకాంతి మేని ఛాయతో కాంతులీను నయనములతో స్వర్ణకాంతి మేని ఛాయతో కాంతులీను నయనములతో భక్తజనులు నుతుల పాడగా భక్తజనులు నుతుల పాడగా పరవశమునదర వీక్షించుచు పరవశమునదర వీక్షించుచు వైభవముగా ఊయలలోన ఊయలలోన రమణుడుగే రమణుడుగే మెల్ల మెల్లన చల్లగాలి మెల్లగా వీవగా ఆ గాలికి సుమములు విరియగా వైభవముగా ఊయలలోన ఊయలలోన రమణుడుగే రమణుడుగే ఉయ్యాల జంపాల ఉయ్యాల జంపాల ఉయ్యాల జంపాల ఉయ్యాల జంపాల. Namo Ramana. We will now have the reading and sharing from the book Ramana's Muruganar by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we have been reading from Ramana's Muruganar, a birth centenary offering compiled and edited by our founder president, Shri A.R. Natarajanji. We have come to the second account, having completed Kanakamal's account of Ramana's Muruganar. We have come to Srimati Padma Venkatraman, giving her account under the title The Blessed Days with Muruganar. The Blessed Days with Muruganar. We had seen how Srimati Padma would serve Muruganar, and how Muruganar's blessings, she says, was the primary help in that, in allowing her to continue to serve. She gives an account where very easily she would have missed that opportunity, and by some strange circumstances that she is able to continue even in that evening. So she summarizes up to that point by saying, I am thrilled to the core at the thought of the invisible and constant protection of this Swami. I am thrilled to the core at the thought of the invisible and constant protection of this Swami. Quite a good summary of what bhakti we should have towards Bhagavan. We continue. Swamini Anantammal, Srimati T.K. Dureswamy Iyer, Kanakammal, other devotees and I made an ardent request to Muruganar to teach us the complete works of Bhagavan. We should recall that Bhagavan's Mahanirvana is over and Muruganar is being asked by these devotees to teach them Bhagavan's teachings. We impressed on him that this would be the only solace for us, grieved as we were by the physical separation of Bhagavan. He remained silent for some time with tears flowing freely from his eyes. Finally he said, let me see. But we would not let him go. The same day, in the afternoon, several of us gathered before him, each with a copy of the collected works. Finding that he could not refuse our insistent request, the Swami began to teach us. Once he started, he would have no regard for the time taken, nor did he have any concern for the trouble he had to take. As a consequence, he would sometimes suffer from a splitting headache. I would ask, Swami, why did you not stop earlier? You are suffering so much. Childlike, he would reply, I do not know how to stop when talking about Bhagavan's teachings. It was such a joy to be his student. He would explain everything so clearly, bringing out the majesty and beauty of Bhagavan's teachings. He would begin with a soft voice, but as the class proceeded, the pitch of his tone would keep going up. At the end of the class, he would often feel exhausted because of this. One day, out of consideration for his health, I hesitantly asked him, Swami, why not teach in a soft tone throughout? Cannot the loud pitch be avoided? I was afraid whether he would be annoyed. However, he laughed profusely and said, listen, when I was a teacher, my tone used to be very loud. You can imagine the classes of those days when 50-60 students were listening to him in the class. Listen, when I was a teacher, my tone used to be very loud. The teacher from the next class would come and request me to tone down my voice as he was unable to proceed with his class. I would, of course, oblige and try my best to talk softly, but it would be of no avail. Soon I would find my colleague peeping into my room again. Immediately I would lower my voice. It used to go on like this. The innocent tone in which he narrated this was very touching. First, he began to explain Arunachala Aksharamanamalai, for which he had written a commentary, and then completed all the 5 hymns on Arunachala Stuti Panchak, his teaching of Bhagavan's collected works. Next, he took up Bhagavan's translation of Dakshinamurti Stotram. He explained all the special nuances of the words, but sometimes memory of his old days, when he had been soaked by the gracious looks of Bhagavan, would come. He would stop, choked with emotion. We too would partake of the bliss which would overflow then. To have studied Bhagavan's teachings under this great saint must only be due to some fruition of past penance. Even now I am thrilled when I think of those days as Muruganar's student. There were many visitors who used to come and see Muruganar. If the person was an old devotee of Bhagwan, he would call me and introduce him to me. I had mentioned to Muruganar that I had not seen Lakshman Sharma, who wrote under the pen name of Who, though I had read his commentary on Ulladu Narpadu. Muruganar told me Lakshmana Sharma is a staunch devotee of Bhagavan. He has also a lot of affection for me. Whenever I go to Mele Sivapuri, I would spend at least one day in his house at Pudukkottai. He, meaning Lakshman Sharmaji, he is an expert on nature cure also. After many months, Lakshman Sharma, who had come for Bhagavan's darshan, called on Muruganar. She has gone back in time before the Mahanirvana. They were talking to each other for a long time with a lot of affection and mutual respect. Muruganar called me and said, "This is whom you wanted to meet." I am Muruganar. So that who is a name given by Lakshman Sharma to the authorship of that commentary, because he says he didn't know who wrote that, whether it was Lakshman Sharma or Bhagavan who taught him all that, or some other power. Therefore, he takes the pen name Who, and Muruganar is converting that into a joke, saying he is Who, I am Muruganar. He joked. He had remembered a request made by me earlier. She is hardly 22, 23 at that time. What can he say about his compassion? Natanananda Swami, while returning from his morning walk, would meet Muruganar every day. He would spend some time with him and go. He would not take coffee or milk even if offered. Once I told him, "Please join Muruganar for lunch on any day convenient to you." He said, "You are looking after him with such loving care, cooking food regularly according to his wishes. This is as good as feeding me. I pray that it may continue." Next morning, he brought a Venba he had composed on my service to Muruganar. He had mentioned my name at the very beginning. I said, "Many have been fortunate to serve Muruganar. Why this high praise for me?" I asked. This is what occurred to him, so he wrote. "Why do you object?" remarked Muruganar. "It may be because I was the first lady devotee who had been allowed the privilege of cooking and looking after Muruganar's bodily needs. My younger sister, Raji, was in a poor state of physical and mental health when she came to stay with me for a few months. Muruganar would talk to her freely and would not hesitate to accept her services. Even allowed her to clean his dentures, to give him vibhuti and so on, which he would not let me do. Then, when the hot water was ready for having a bath, he would just not come, but would go on writing poems on Bhagavan. He would oblige only Raji, who would cajole him, pointing out how he would suffer from hiccups if his lunch got delayed. He would affectionately call her the little Padananda. Padananda is one who has published many of Muruganar's works. Great devotee of Bhagavan. Muruganar had no needs. However, he would use up a large quantity of water. In those days, there was just one tap in front of the ashram. An attendant would bring water from there. Even for cleaning the teeth and washing his feet and hands, Muruganar would need 4 large buckets of water. We should remember he was bathing and cleaning himself in the the lake there. So there is no shortage of water there. When the helper did not come, we would ourselves bring the required water without his knowledge. If by chance he saw us, he would be moved and say, "I am trying my best to restrict the use of water, but what to do? I seem to be able to control it. I don't seem to be able to control it." We should also recall how Bhagavan says of a very poorly remembered person, mainly containing a lot of bad qualities. And he comes to the ashram, and in front of ashram, he stays and passes away. And the rest of the devotees say they were waiting for Bhagavan to remark on him, because Bhagavan would remark only the positive things of a person when he passes away. They were all waiting because they felt that gentleman had no good qualities at all. But then Bhagavan says he used to clean himself in the lake for 3-4 hours using only mud. Even better than Muruganar, he had remarked that. That's what I remember. So even better than Muruganar means Muruganar is known for his cleanliness like that. So that is how this incident about the water is there. Once a visitor haltingly began Bhagavan Sanskrit, Muruganar did not let him even complete the sentence. Turning red in face, he said, "Have you read this translation of Viveka Chudamani? Have you noticed how many Sanskrit words he has used in it?" The visitor beat a hasty retreat. I'm not sure in what direction this particular paragraph goes, but I feel that it should be that that person had a very low opinion of Bhagavan's Sanskrit command, and Muruganar is saying that in translating Viveka Chudamani, the toughest of words and Bhagavan's grasp of them is very clear. But then there are many other instances also where Bhagavan's divinity of Sanskrit, bringing out Sanskrit, is even hailed by the Asukavi Ganapati Muni, saying that can we ever write like this? So that's about that paragraph, which doesn't seem to be headed anywhere clearly, at least to me. My sister Raji, who was weak in health, remarked one day, "I want to go around the hill. If Swami's blessings are there, I can easily do it." Muruganar advised her, "Just do 3 pradakshinas around Bhagavan's Samadhi. It would give the same benefit." Hearing this, I said, "It would be enough if she goes around you 3 times. Padmaji is saying, "I think it would be enough if she goes around you 3 times. At this, Muruganar lifted his hands up and said in an emotionally choked voice, "Where is Bhagavan? Where am I? It is like the difference between the mountain and a molehill." What can one say about Muruganar's devotion to his Guru? He looked after my sister, who had physical ailments and mental ailments, with great affection. He would console her by joining her in the reading of Bhagavan's works and singing songs like Tirupalli Ezhuchi. She would sing in top octave and the Swami in bass tone. Thanks to this, she forgot her ill health and mental worries. When it was time for her to return to Tanjore, Muruganar gave her a photo of Bhagavan's feet with a handwritten copy of Ramana Mayavan, so that she would feel constantly befriended by Bhagavan. I had arranged for someone to take her to the station and see her off. I did not wish to miss Ulladinarpadu class, which Swami was to take in the afternoon. Sensing the reason, Muruganar told me, "I know why you are hesitating to go to the station. You do not wish to miss the class. Do not worry. I shall take a special class for you. Do go with her to the station." Next day, he covered the same lesson which he explained the previous day. What can I say about his consideration? Raji specially wove a khadi towel and dhoti for Muruganar and gave it to him when she came to Madras. She requested that he should wear it on Guru Purnima day, when she would be thinking of him deeply. On the Guru Purnima day, several devotees presented dhotis to Muruganar. However, he called me and asked me to give him the dhoti which Raji had given earlier. Write to her that I have worn the dhoti which she has presented. She would be thinking of me today, says Muruganar. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramanaya. I once again request Sri Nandakumar sir to please conduct the self-enquiry session for us.
For conducting the self-enquiry, let us read from Bhagavan's Guruvachakakovai, once again authored by Muruganar. This is Bhagavan written verse, Bhagavan 15. Only he who has himself won salvation can lead others to salvation. As for the rest, they are like the blind leading the blind. Only he who has himself won salvation can lead others to salvation. As for the rest, they are like the blind leading the blind. Verse of Muruganar follows 803. Having destroyed the ego, the true jnani abides in the state of the self-consciousness. Having destroyed the ego, the true jnani abides in the state of the self-consciousness. To those suffering ones who resort to him with faith, to those suffering ones who resort to him with faith, he enables the attainment of self-experience by ending their I am the body delusion. Only this act is true compassion to all living beings. All other acts are flawed. Having destroyed the ego, the true jnani abides in the state of the self, that is consciousness. To those suffering ones who resort to him with faith, he enables the attainment of self-experience by ending their I am the body delusion. Only this act is true compassion to living beings. All other acts are flawed. This is under the segment compassion to living beings. Usually, we will have various modes in which we are showing compassion to the living beings, especially the summer that has passed. Many of us would keep water in front of our homes so that the sparrows or the street dogs would come and have them. Amongst the human beings, to the poor, we would try to help. To those who are seeking education, we would try to help. One of the participants in this meeting, Sunil and I, we had the good fortune, so to say, of contributing to the education of a poor girl. That's about 10-12 years back. And she did very well also. We could sponsor her when she had the need. She went through her. They were really poor, the whole family. But then she stood in top honors in her 12th and went through the BCom and everything. One of the things that we had in mind was that the whole family and her younger brother was to be educated later. Our understanding was that if she comes and is getting into a good employment and standing on her legs, the whole family would be helped. It so turned out that in the last year of the BCom with good honors, but she fell in love with someone and she got married and moved out of the family. And the family, being traditional, moved out of connection with her. And whatever was our help and whatever was the intention did not turn out to be that particular type of help. That is why Muruganar is saying here that the only real help that we can do to another, that we may have some intention, we may have some other way of helping, but are they real helps? Bhagavan would actually give another incident where somebody would refer to the mystics and the great spiritual teachers bringing back eyesight and bringing back the lameness, freeing people of lameness and all that, those miracles. And Bhagavan would recall an incident from Jesus' life. I have not read that in the Bible or anything, but Bhagavan would recount that, and very interesting, and it can be and also understood that it is said that Jesus goes to a village and cures the blindness of a person. Great act of to us, great act of compassion to living being. And he comes back to the village after some time, maybe months, maybe a year or so, because he's not supposed to have done a lot of years in sermons and other things, very short life period of sermons and other things. He comes back to the same village and sees that that particular gentleman has become a thief, and he sends for him. He sends for that man and asks, how come you have turned to be a thief? And that gentleman is supposed to have told, you are the cause. Previously, I could not see the beautiful things, the attractive things of this world. I could not see them, so I did not desire them. You gave me my eyes and I started seeing all those beautiful things and started coveting them for myself. Like that, Bhagavan would quote that incident. Whether it is the actual incident or not, we can easily understand how. That's why Annadana is supposed to be the next best dana other than self-realization, because there the energy given is for a short period of time, that 4 or 5 hours only, because that energy can be used for right or wrong according to the person. So anything given out of compassion to someone else could be used for good or bad. And I'm not intending to say what that girl did was wrong or anything. It did not work out that the relative good we had in mind did not come to be. But then that family was protected in a totally different way by Bhagwan, which I had personal privilege to see. It's a different story. But we should understand how this particular statement, which appears very peculiar, is the only true statement, that the helping of the other to get self-realization is the only true good. If you listen to a talk by the scientist Richard Feynman on the value of science, it is available on YouTube. It will be very clear to us that any other kind of help if you take, is passing on of some kind of power, some kind of energy. Any kind of passing on of power or energy can be used for good or bad, therefore does not have intrinsic good in it. What is the only gift that is said to contain intrinsic good in it? The relief to the other from the root error of saying, I am the body. So that is what is quoted here. That if you are really interested in seva, if you are really interested in helping the other, the human, what is the best thing to your child or to someone else? The best thing and the clearly only thing that you can be assured cannot be misused is only self-realization, because it takes one beyond good and bad, and the self-realized person will not teach anything other than the self to the ones he comes across. That's why the verse says that the previous verse of Bhagavan says only the one who is self-realized can really lead the others. And Muruganar's verse says that is the only true compassion to all living beings, where that other is freed of the root error of I am the body idea. Let's go for that. Bhagavan being the greatest munificent giver, he has given us this dhana of the Brahmastra of who am I. Let us partake in taking maximum benefit of that dhana of Sadguru, the Maharshi, Bhagavan, Ramana. Let's sit for practice for, is it 15 minutes, Revathi, or 10 minutes? For 10 minutes, let us sit in Atma Vicharam, the true compassion to all living beings. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Anmabodham by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande ji.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinam Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnanamulam Guru Murti, Pujamulam Guru Padam. Mantramulam Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Namo Ramana. We're doing Manana on Atmabodha. We'll do a little recap of what we did the last. We did Manana on verse number 32. Being distinct from the body, I have no birth, old age, death, etc. Not having the sense organs, I am not attached to sense objects like sound, etc. In the previous verse, the Supreme Self is indicated as something different from the entire terrestrial realm of perishable objects. In this and the next verse, the 5 layers of the human personality are taken one by one and discussed. The food sheath, Annamaya Kosha, which consists of the body and the sense organs, is first negated. Atman is the enlivening factor which vitalizes the body and the sense organs. It is different from them and has none of their qualities. The physical body undergoes the 5 metamorphic changes, namely birth, growth, death, decay. These changes pertain only to the body and not to the Atman. Atman serves as the changeless substratum with reference to which alone these changes are possible. The sense organs come in contact with the respective sense objects and gain their experiences. This, since Atman is separate from the body and the sense organs, it is not related to the sense objects of the world. Having thus negated the food sheath, which is the Annamaya Kosha, the other 4 material sheaths and their activities are taken up next. So we will do Manana on the verse number 33. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse.
Yes, sir. Amanastvatname dukkha ragadvesha bhayadayaha apranoyamana shubhra ityadi shruti shasanat. Amanastvatname dukkha ragadvesha bhayadayaha apranoyamana shubhra ityadi shruti shasanat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. Not having the mind, I have no desire. I have no desire, grief, hatred, fear, etc. Indeed, the scriptures declare that Atman has no prana, no mind, pure, etc. After negating the world and the physical body as not being the self, the other material layers of the human personality are disowned and discarded. After negating the world and the physical body as not being the self, the other material layers of the human personality are disowned and discarded. The mind is made up of emotions. Where there is a mind, there is desire, grief, hatred, fear, etc. The self which makes you aware of your emotions is the illumination of your emotions, illuminator of your emotions. The self which makes you aware of your emotions is the illuminator of your emotions. Being so, it must be something other than the mind and its emotions. The eyes substantiate this truth. A mantra from the Manduka Upanishad is quoted, Aprana, Amana, Subraha, Ityadi, which means self is not the prana, not the mind, it is pure, etc. Aprana means not prana, which indicates that the self is not the vital air sheath, pranamaya kosha. Amana means not mana, which signifies that the self is not the mind and the intellect, not the mental and intellectual sheaths, manomaya and vijnanamaya koshas. The word subra, pure, indicates the negation of the vasanas of an individual. The self is not the bliss sheath, anandamaya kosha. These three words, namely aprana, amana, and subra, therefore suggest the negation of the four sheaths which constitute the subtle and causal bodies. The next three verses are devoted to the assertion of the real. Reality, however, cannot be captured with words. It can only be pointed out or indicated to you with the help of worldly knowledge. These indicative definitions are many and varied. They cannot actually define the transcendental reality, but they go a long way to help you gain some idea of what that reality is. The analogy of the moon and the branch, Chandra Shakha Nyaya, explains the part played by language in the pursuit of truth. In this illustration, a person having seen the crescent moon in a bright midday sky tries to point it out to another who has not seen it. In this illustration, a person having seen the crescent moon in a bright midday sky tries to point it out to another who has not seen it. All his attempts to point it out fail. He then makes use of an external aid, like the branch of a tree, the tip of which points to the moon. The branch helps him to fix the direction, but he has to shift his attention ultimately from the branch to the sky above. When he does that, he spots the moon. Similarly, all the indicative definitions of truth are not the truth in itself, just as the branch is not the moon, but they serve as an essential guide for the realization of the supreme truth. So it's a beautiful thing. But basically, what is being said here is whatever we read, if we read that you are the Tattvamasi, you are that we have, the four Mahavakyas, they are indeed indicative. They are saying that you are that. Then how do you do that? How do you understand that? Bhagavan says you have to do self-enquiry. So the Great One shows the path, but finally we have to walk the path. So that's why Shravana, Manana are important, but most important is Nididhyasana. To be able to practice. They say 1 ounce of practice is 1,000 times, million times greater than how much you listen. So that's what is being said here also. So the great one just indicate that if you walk this path, you will realize who you really are. And finally, we have to walk. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Namo.
Namo Ramanakar. We will now have a sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rengaswamy on the topic of Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய. அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சலம். Namo Ramana to all. With the grace of Bhagwan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagwan in Tamil. In the last satsang, we saw Bhagwan saying, even if it is for doing puja, don't pluck flowers from the plants. You can do puja with the flowers which have fallen on the ground of its own, like Pavaramalli. Moreover, Bhagwan says there is no good in chanting mantras for the destruction of others. Leave off such things, because we know very well what happened in Tarugavana Rishis. By doing yajna, they made tiger to come out of yajna, deer, snake, Shulaida, Agni, whatever, what for? To destroy Shiva. But what happened? Shiva adorned everything that came out of the yajna. So, please don't do that. Why such hatred? What is the necessity for us to consider a person as an enemy? This hatred, jealousy, anger are all in our mind only in ahankara. Till we think that I is our body, everything else is outside us. We ourselves put a barrier. These are inside and these are outside of me. The barrier is the body. I must be happy is the first thinking. When can I always be happy? When one abide in the self only, Bhagwan says. When can one abide in the self? When he sees the self in everything. If so, if he sees everything as self, he looks everything as same. He can see only the self alone. And the next stanza also Bhagwan says, Samattuvame utru asai saruvamal. Samattuvame utru asai saruvamal. Suga dukka sarvit samanai. Mittirargal alladar melum samanagi. Otti ponnil otta karuttonagi utru. Is the next stanza. What is the nature of a man? The nature of a man is to think very high about the valuable object and think very low about the object which has less value. That is the nature of a human being. That is the reason he has great attachments towards the valuable object and he has a desire to own it because that is very valuable and I must own it. When it is given equal importance, Bhagwan says, that is, the valuable and the less valuable object are treated equally, then there will be no controversy at all. Once on a seashore, I'll tell you an example. Once on a seashore, a husband and wife were walking. Both were Jivan Muktas. On the way, the husband saw a diamond stone halfway hidden in the mud. What he did was, he hid the diamond stone from the eyes of his wife, thinking, though my wife is a jnani, she may be a jnani, but of course, after all, she's a woman. And women normally will have a desire to have gold and diamond. So he hid the diamond in the mud. He could have kept quiet. When they reached the hermitage, husband said that he saw a diamond on the way and the seashore, and he hid it because for her sake. Now the wife asked, oh, you could find the difference between a normal stone and a diamond. You still find the difference between a diamond and a normal stone. Then he got jnana. The same Bhagavan says in this stanza, Votir ponnil otta karuttonai utru. Please don't differentiate between the earthen part and the golden vessel. When golden vessel is appreciated and earthen part is not getting that much appreciation, then we will have the desire towards the golden vessel. Desire is the other name for sorrow. Because if we don't get that golden vessel, we will be put into the clutches of sorrow. If this is practiced, we would not be finding any difference between good or bad things. When we find no difference between the happenings in the world, there will be no such happening which we don't like at all. In fact, there will be no likes and dislikes at all. In that case, all friends and enemies will be seen equally, says Bhagavan. Mittirargal alladar melum samanayi. There will be no friend, no foe. Bhagavan lived as an example for this. A person, I'll tell you an example. A person in Tiruvannamalai near ashram used to be a very great hindrance to the devotees. One day, he passed away. Ashramites were actually happy. They felt really happy and conveyed this message to Bhagavan and waited what Bhagavan is going to utter. But what Bhagavan said, oh, that person passed away. He used to wear beautiful white dhoti every day. Oh, what a pity. He passed away. Is it so? He asked. How could this be possible? By seeing a person who prizes and the person who teases. When we practice to treat both these persons equally, this will be possible. Only when a person who have samadrishti, he can witness the paravastu, which is all pervasive. So Bhagavan very clearly states in this verse, have samadrishti, have no desire, treat sukha dukkha and friend or enemy equally, and he gives an example of an earthen pot and the golden vessel, which has to be seen as same, none other than the self. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Vasishta Kavya Ganta Ganapati Muni, and which has been compiled in this format and given to us by Bhagavan Ramana himself. Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami. Yadina Janani Stanyam Dadyat Shishorvata Kagati. Yadi Pashupatihi Krodam Kuryat Pashoravanam Kutaha. Yadi Padajusham Acharyatvam Niham Sina Samshayam. Brahmashata para bhutayete tarantu bhavam katam. Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami. Bandeno ninna badi nundu Ramana, Bhavada kattale hariso Divya Charana. Bandeno, Bandeno, Tayi Muniyalu Magu, Taulivudenu, Pashupatiye Muniyalu, Pashunaraladenu. Tayi Muniyalu Magu, Taulivudenu, Pashupatiye Muniyalu, Pashunaraladenu. Vidiyaduru ninta Manavana Bhagayenu. Vidiyaduru ninta Manavana Bhagayenu. Ninna kripe tappidare namma gatiyenu. Bandeno ninna badi nondu Ramana, Bhavada kattale hariso Divya Charana. Bandeno, Bandeno. These are the verses which has already been translated to Kannada by Dr. N.S. Lakshminarayana Bhatta in this format. And here Ganapati Muni, he takes on the dawn, he plays the role of devotees who are feeling separated from the beloved Ramana. Those who are feeling dejected that their prayers are not being heard and they are not being united with that Ramana who is the self. Of such devotees' prayer, here Ganapati Muni sings, what would be the fate of a child? The mother of that child does not give the breast milk to that child. What will be the fate of that child whom its own mother is not taking care of it? What fate would be of those cattle who are not being taken care by the Pashupati, the coward? The Pashupati is also Lord Shiva. If he becomes angry with the Pashus, he becomes angry with his dear creatures that he has to take care, and he is beating them. What will be the situation, the fate of those animals, those cattle? If the teacher whose feet the disciples have come and surrendered to his feet, if the teacher is not resolving the doubts in the minds of the disciples, what will happen to those disciples? And saying this, he says, those who are filled with confusion and illusions, Brahma, Shata. Shata is hundreds, multiples of confusions, those who are filled with, and they are filled with these multiple doubts. How will they ever cross this ocean of existence, this Bhavasagara? Oh, how will they cross without your grace, O Ramana? Please shower your grace on me. With the same mood, Lakshmana Bhatta says, Bandeno ninna bhali nondu Ramana. I have come with great pain. Bhavada kattale hariso divya charana. Remove the darkness of Bhava. Here Ganapati Muni says, Bhavasagara. How will we ever cross this ocean of samsara without your help? And this ocean of samsara is darkness. How will we ever find light without your grace? We have come to your feet, O Ramana. Save us. In the Shringara Bhakti, there are two types of Shringara. One is the Sambhoga Shringara, where you are with the beloved and you are enjoying the joy of being united with the beloved. And there is one more Shringara form, which is Viraha. One when you are not with the beloved, but yet you are completely filled with the thought of beloved. You are feeling, when will I ever meet that beloved? It is told in Bhagavatam that all the gopikas on that special day when Krishna would do the Rasa Leela, they're all waiting to run and unite with Krishna. They're all eagerly waiting. Some gopis leave all their duties in the house and they all rush towards the presence of Krishna. But some gopis are locked up by their people in the house, their parents and their husbands. They are locked up in the room and they are not let to go to Krishna and be in his presence. And those gopis, they have this great pain of separation. And in that great pain of separation, they all get united with Krishna in a moment. And they all enjoy that very same joy of union, which those who had actually gone to the physical presence of Krishna, they too enjoyed. Such is the power of this Viraham. And it is told that in the story of Jaisriram, the Murti that Jaisriram used to worship, the Murti of Rama, who would be lost. Somebody would have taken some say his own brother, Japeshan, who was very, very disappointed by his brother because he did not agree to sing in the court of the Raja. He told, why should I sing in the court of Raja when Rama, who is the Raja of the whole universe, my boss, he is the master. Instead of singing him, why should I sing for somebody else? So he refuses that offer to go to the court. So the brother is very, very disappointed and he takes that Murti and he throws it away in the river Kaveri. And that morning, Tyagaraja gets up to do his daily Nitya Seva to Rama, and he finds that the Rama idol is not there. And he sings songs of Viraham. Oh Rama, why are you hiding? Marugelara, oh Raghava, why are you hiding? I know that you are the self in all beings. How can you hide from me? Why don't you show your divine form to me? So he prays in different ways in the mood of Viraha. So the great ones, the storytellers say, Rama wanted to hear to such songs of separation filled with dard, that they say, they're filled with pain of separation. So he made this happen, this Leela. And after he was contented listening to those songs of Viraha from Tyagaraja Swami, then he came in his dream and told, I am here in this place in Kaveri river, and you can come and take me back. So such is the Leela of the divine that he wants us to sometime cry. There's Upadesa, one song which is my favorite, where Krishna comes and he calls the neighbor girl and says, sing the Mukhari Ragam. The Mukhari Ragam is said to be used for very sad situation. And he says, sing the Mukhari Ragam. And the neighborhood girl says, I don't know how to sing Mukhari Ragam. I have not learnt any song in that Ragam. And he comes and he pinches the cheeks of that girl. And when she is crying loudly, and he says, this is what I wanted. This is the Mukhari Ragam I wanted to listen. Such Vishamakara Kannan, the Upadesa says. So the divine, although he is so loving, sometimes he acts as if he is angry with us. He is very, very far from us, so that we understand the value of that Supreme, and so that our full attention is turned towards him. So he creates such situation. And how Ramana calls Arunachala, oh Arunachala, you are much more kinder than one's own mother. If such a loving motherly Ramana, how can he be rude to us? How can he not take care of us? We have all heard of that story where a squirrel mother is eaten up by a cat, and all the little squirrels are orphaned. They don't have a mother to take care. So Ramana brings a basket and puts soft cotton in it and takes care of all those little ones. He places them in the basket and he is taking care of them. And he takes a small piece of cotton, sharpens the edge of the cotton and dips it in the milk and feeds all those little squirrels drop by drop by squeezing the cotton. He is feeding all the little squirrels, and those little squirrels grow up into a little bigger squirrels, and they start going out from the basket which Ramana has made. And Ramana, whenever they are trying to go out of the basket, he picks them up and puts it back to the basket. Again, the squirrels are going out, and again Ramana picks them up patiently and puts them back into the basket. And meanwhile, when Ramana is doing this, taking care of those little squirrels for whom he has become the mother, the devotee asks Ramana, the mind is always outward turn, it is always going outside. How can I control my mind? And Ramana, just like how I am doing, whenever the squirrel is trying to go out, when the mind is going outwards, tell the mind, outside there is danger. There is the danger of that cat. So get back to the heart, which is your home, where there is safety and joy and peace. So whenever the mind is going outside, diligently turn the attention back to the home, the heart, with the question, who am I? So this is the Upadesha that he gave. And one of the devotee, Devraj Mudaliyar, told there are two nyaya, the two ways the Guru showers his love. One is called the Markata Nyaya, the other is called the Marjala Nyaya. The Markata Nyaya is like the monkey mother. The little monkey has to hold on to the mother, keep embracing the mother and holding on tight. But the mother is jumping from one tree to another tree. But it is the duty of the child to hold on to the mother tightly. I am not like that monkey who can hold on to you, O Guru Ramana. I am like a cat which is very, very innocent. I don't know anything. So the Marjala is the cat which will pick up the kitten by its neck with its mouth, and it takes and keeps the kitten in the safe place. So I am like that cat. So you need to take care of me. You need to take me to a safe place. You need to take me to that supreme abode. I can't do anything, said Devraj Mudaliyar. And Ramana he became a little stern and told, no, this is not allowed. The Guru will do his duty, and it is your duty to hold on to the sadhana. You should do your duty and Guru will do his duty. So such is the love of the Mother Ramana, that he sometimes seems to be rude with us, but he wants us to hold on to the sadhana. He wants us to be sincere about our effort. But the truth is, nothing can be achieved by our own human effort. The human effort does not bring fruit. Karturagneya prapyate palam. Karma kim param. Is the action, the human effort great? No. Karma tat jadam. So should we not do any action at all? Ramana continues in the third verse of Upadesa Saram. He says, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodakam mukti sadakam. When that same sadhana is done as an offering to Ishvara, then it makes us ready. It makes us ripe. And once we are ripe, Ramana reveals his true forms and he embraces us and makes us one with himself, the Arunachala Ramana, which is the self. To teach us this path, Ramana has come into our life like the loving mother. Sometimes the child may not understand the true love of the mother. The child may think that this mother is being rude to me. She is not giving what I am desiring. But mother knows the big picture. She knows what is right and what is wrong. So with full faith in that mother Ramana, we need to continue our sadhana, and at the right time, Ramana would feed us with that Amrita Pana. He will feed us with the milk of Amrita at the right time so that we become the immortal self. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramana Ashtottara by Dr. Shanta.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. In the litany of 108 names composed by Vishwanatha Swami on Bhagavan, we are on the Nama Virupaksha Guhavasaya Nama. It's an extraordinary Nama. It contains the period, as we saw, about 16 years of Bhagavan's life on the hill. And each of these 16 years, each moment of these 16 years, Bhagavan has been available to all the devotees. If we see in the early years, Bhagavan might have been roaming around on the hill on his own. In fact, that is his love for Arunachala. One of the devotees, two of them, a husband and wife team, had come to one of our seminars in Bengaluru, and they presented a paper where they talked about Bhagavan's love for Arunachala being supreme. And that, they said, is his core teaching. And of course, they went to the other extreme of saying, we cannot even say that self-enquiry is the core teaching of Bhagavan. It is Bhagavan's love for Arunachala, which is the core teaching of Bhagavan. Whenever Bhagavan heard the name Arunachala, there were always tears of love in his eyes. And he has walked on practically every inch of Arunachala. There is the instance that when he was thus roaming on the hill, an old lady who appeared to be a woodcutter or a grass cutter lady, an old lady, came and scolded him and said in a very literally giving him such what we call words of angry words, where he was scolded by her, and she told him, that was in Tamil, and she told him, why do you roam around like this? Why do you roam around in the hot sun like this? Instead of simply staying in one place and simply staying in a place. See, in Tamil, for simply staying in a place, it is said, Shiva Shiva irukama. simply remaining saying Shiva Shiva. But it's not literally simply remaining saying Shiva Shiva. Simply without being still in one place. Why are you roaming around like this? She used abusive language, in fact. Unna paadaila vekka. That it means actually may be taken to the crematorium, like that. That was a very common kind of an abuse which was used in those years. So she said, why are you doing this? And Bhagavan sweetly describes that, I don't know, she looked like a woodcut woman, but I have not seen her before. I have not seen her afterwards, as if to indicate to us that she was indeed the goddess, mother goddess, Apita Kuchambika herself, coming to tell her son, hey, why are you doing this to your body? But that much was Bhagavan's love for Arunachala, and he would roam around on the hill. And in those days, Bhagavan says he also had a vision. He had a sort of a dream where he could see inside Arunachala. There was another world altogether, a divine world, where there were waterfalls, and it was very beautiful world, and it was a world of where the sadhus are meditating, and it's a world of Shiva, as if to say he had the dream of Shivaloka. Arunachala is not only Shiva. Bhagavan has said Arunachala is Shiva. Arunachala is also Shivaloka. Later on, when the Adiyanamalai temple was being renovated, they suddenly discovered a well with a tunnel. They didn't really go further deep into it, but they discovered a tunnel, and they consulted Bhagavan, and Bhagavan felt that tunnel was leading into Arunachala. He instructed them to close that tunnel, not to go into it, not to disturb, because one should have the ability to withstand the psychic energy of that place. But in recent times, one of a devotee, he had a vision when he was approaching Arunachala by car. He suddenly saw the hill. He saw thousands of gods and goddesses on the hill, all worshipping the hill. They were on the hill and they were all worshipping the hill. As if there were thousands of little shrines on the hill, and they were all gods and goddesses who were worshipping the hill. So there is this glory of Arunachala, which Bhagavan enjoyed, and like a child, literally the child of Arunachala, living in the lap of Arunachala. And he calls the Virupaksha cave his mother, a mother, because he says that this cave, which is like the heart of the Arupaksha, who is Arupaksha, the Lord Shiva himself. Even Virupaksha is the name of Shiva. Arupaksha, Virupakshara Porulum, Annamalayam, Arupakshan Meyyil Vilangum, Virupaksha Manguhai. Virupakshara Porulin Annamalayam, Arupakshara Porulin Annamalayam, Virupakshan Meyyil Vilangum, Virupaksha Manguhai, Ishanaha Manguhai, Varan Baraye, Ishanaha Manguhai, Varan Baraye, Tanguhayal, Tayanalam Tan. He says, because this Guhai, Ishan Ahamam Guhai, this cave is the heart of Ishvara. And it's shining on the form, it's embedded in the form of Shiva himself, and it is like the heart. And later Vishwanatha Swami in the Ashtottara will call Skandashram also the heart. But here Bhagavan himself calls Virupaksha Gohai the heart of Arunachala. And he says that it is allowing the devotees of Shiva var anbaraye tanguhayal, because it's actually giving them support. It's allowing them to stay as if almost in the womb of the mother. So it is giving them a place to stay. Tayanaram. We can call her the Virupaksha. We can call her a mother, says Bhagavan of Virupaksha cave. And that, but then, of course, there is the love of Arunachala. But there is self-enquiry which is brimming forth in those Virupaksha years as much as later also. There is no difference in Bhagavan's teachings, the core teaching of Bhagavan. And that comes to us. There are two aspects. One is the teaching which Bhagavan gives, the constant teaching of self-enquiry, beginning from the instruction to Gambhiram Sheshayar in 1900 and continuing the records of that book, the compilation, Vichara Sangraham or Self-enquiry by Gambhiram Sheshayar. It says from 1900 to 1902, Gambhiram Sheshayar asked questions and got answers. And if we look at the first question by Gambhiram Sheshayar, it is how to be happy all the time. How does one attain a state of happiness, of permanent happiness, of unwavering happiness? And Bhagavan says that unless one gets to one's real nature, understanding that the body is only a disease, it is only misery, and it has been so described in the scriptures also, one must get back to this source. And Gambhiram Sheshayar says, how does one get back to the source? And then Bhagavan says, see, one keeps on saying, I am doing all these things. One must inquire into this sense of I. And he uses the phrase, setting aside the corpse-like body as a corpse. Meaning to say, understanding that the body cannot be I. That's what he says. How can the body be I? The body cannot be I. So set it aside, leave it, and turn back to the source. And when you thus hold on only to the source, then what happens is that, though he does not call it the Aham Spurana here, he literally does not use the term Spurana. He says that the I shines forth when it is held to the exclusion of all thoughts. See, when one has set aside the body, what is there to think about? If one has mentally, not necessarily imagining that the body is a corpse, but understanding the body is as good as dead. What is setting aside the body as a corpse means understanding the body is as good as dead. If the body is dead, what are we going to think about? Who is the I who remains if one tries to hold that? And in essence, Bhagavan is giving the crux of his own experience in the enlightenment at Madurai, where he literally physically enacted death. But here he is telling us to do that process mentally, not an imaginary process of dying, but the concept of holding the body to be a corpse. Over. The story is over. What remains and one turns inside and abides as the source, then the Purana comes. Then he says that also, in his answer to Gambiram Shishaya, is that also gets burnt in the jnana like camphor in fire. So then only the self remains. And in a later question, we will find that Bhagavan gives the essence of the verse 10 in Upadesa Saram to Gambiram Shishaya himself. He has said, abiding in the self in this manner is Kriya Bhakti Yoga Jnana, which he says in Upadesa Saram, Kritsthale Manaha Swasthata Kriya Bhakti Yoga Bodhascha Nishchitam. So, the same, that concept also Bhagavan has given to Gambiram Sheshayar in the early 1900s. So we find that the self-enquiry is the undercurrent of Bhagavan's teachings, cannot be denied. It is continuously there from this very first instruction onwards. We find it coming to later to Shivaprakash Pillai and to several other seekers, whoever has gone to Bhagavan seeking self-knowledge. Bhagavan has highlighted the path of self-enquiry and the emphasis has been on self-abidance. So the Virupaksha years take our mind again and again back to the essential purpose of our life. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati V. Radha.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. நைந்தழி கனியா நலநிலை பதத்தில் நாடி நலம் அருணாச்சலாம் நொந்திடதுந்தனை தந்தனை கொண்டிலை அந்த கனி என கருணாச்சலாம் நோக்கிய கருதி மெய்தாக்கிய பக்குவமாக்கி நீ ஆண்டருள் அருணாச்சலாம் பற்றி மர்விடன் தலை உற்றிருமுனமருள் பற்றிடருள் புரி அருணாச்சலாம் பார்த்தருள் மாலர பார்க்கில்லை எனின் அருள் பாருனக்கார் சொல்வார் அருணாச்சலாம் வித்து விட்டுன்னை நேர்பித்தனாக்கினை அருள் பித்தம் தெளி மருந்தருணாச்சலாம் வீதியில் உன்னை சார் வீதியில் என்னை சேர் வீதி உந்தனக்கே அருணாச்சலாம் புல்லறிவே துரை நல்லறிவே துரை புல்லிடவே அருள் அருணாச்சலா பூமண மாமண பூரண மணம் கொள்ள பூரண மணம் அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திழுத்தனை உன் பெருமையார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலாம் பேத்தனம் விடவிடா பேயா பிடித்தனை பேயனகினையன் அருணாச்சலா வைங்கொடியானான் பற்றின்றி வாடாமல் பற்று கொடாய்கா அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷ Aksharamanamalai Vari. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. The Ashtottara puja will be done by Ujwal Jagadeesh from Ramana Maharshi Heritage Buildings, Ramana Maharshi Meditation Hall. The Ashtottara will be chanted by Revathi and Uma. Arati song will be sung by Dr. Pratibha Sundaresh. We will conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja. Namo Ramana. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामावली अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेर् यस्योर्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः। ॐ गुरवे नमः। ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः। ॐ महौजसे नमः। ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः। ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः। ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः। ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः। ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः। ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपःक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलरुद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्चान्तकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्री रमण भगवते नमः। श्री अष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्थादात्म्यभावं गतः प्रनिष्ठस्वगभीर नित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनस्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषी। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीव हित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिव नंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಯೇ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೂಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರ್ಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की।
Jai.